Okay, hi-fi people. Kelvin here, Stereo Review X. That's the name of my channel. I am trying to tell you what I've learned over 40 years of messing around with hi-fis. We're going to do a review today, mostly about this Sansui 8 Deluxe, top of the range humdinger receiver from Sansui in 1970-71. And I'm also, like I normally do, give it a bit of compare and contrast with this, which is AU 719 Sansui amplifier from 1979-80. So there's about 10 years difference between these two. And, you know, you'll see which one's, well, you know, what I think sounds better. I should say, all the stuff, almost all of the equipment, like 80% of the equipment that I am reviewing is from my collection, you know. And if it wasn't a good thing, I wouldn't have it anymore. So everything is sort of judging from what I consider to be a high standard, you know. So, you know, there are lots of amps I could put next to these two from the same period, which I would consider these beat hands down, you know, lots of retro famous names, or you know, so you know, just so you know, everything is really from my collection, and it probably sounds pretty good anyway. And I'm gonna, you know, the differences between these are significant, but I've still got this amp, so I still like it, and I love this amp, to be frank with you. So let's just go into a bit of detail here. So Sansui 8 Deluxe, 60 watts a channel from 1970, basically equals 100 watts today, quite literally. If you want to buy that on eBay or somewhere like that, if it's in an auction, you know, you might get it for say £300, yeah, say $350 US. People put in buy it now. These are sort of rare, fairly rare things, and they're kind of, this particularly I'd say pretty desirable by collectors, and for good reason. So this one, AU 719, is 90 watts a channel. Again, even though this is 1980, it's still bigger than a 90 watts today. Yeah, it's probably call it 130, something like that. I mean, I'm guessing, but there is this decline in what real on power, you know. What was called 20 watts in 1970 seems to equal what's called 40 watts in 2020, or by 1990. The way they measured watts, they just started cheating, basically, I would say, you know, because they know that these figures sell things, you know. Okay, if you wanted to buy that one on eBay, I think you'd have to pay about £400, $450 US. One did go the other day, I just saw, for £700 that had been recapped, which I thought was a bit sort of specially high, to be frank with you. I wouldn't have paid £700 for this amp. Anyway, okay, so there you have it. A quick thing with features. This got an interesting feature. It's got a mid-range button, yeah, which, you know, you might use if you've got some speakers that don't have a great, you know, not enough mid-range coming out of them. So that's quite handy. 3 sets of speakers you can get out of this one. And this Sansui 8 Deluxe has a power pre-separation sockets at the back, yeah. So you can use the power amp of this with a modern preamp, which actually is a pretty good idea, because I would say the power amp is the best half of this amp. So you can go pre-power, whatever you want, use the preamp of this if you want, and another power amp. This one doesn't have that, yeah, just as it is, just normal. They've both got 2 sets of phono. Let's switch these on. They've both got 2 sets of phono. Just wait a second. 1 second, please. Moving on. Coming back. There we go. That's a lot better, isn't it? Looks a lot better. You've got these nice lights here, by the way. You know. What was I saying? Yeah, pre-power. Blah, blah, blah. 2 phonos on both of those. All the normal stuff. Subsonic filter, low pass filter, more or less same thing basically. Loudness. Some filters for frequency filters, 6000 Hertz, 3000 Hertz, 300 Hertz, 150 Hertz. I mean, I don't know what people use those for. I've heard that people say use these high filters when they're playing like 78 records that absolutely got terrible scratchy high frequencies, yeah? But I mean, in a normal hi-fi world, you wouldn't be using those things. But you might use this switch here, which is tone defeat, yeah? And all that means is it comes out flat when you put it on defeat, and it bypasses those switches, yeah? It bypasses these bass and treble controls, and it gives you a cleaner path, yeah? And, you know, putting that tone defeat on, if you've got a good setup, good speakers, you'll hear a minute clearing up of everything, yeah? It's a win-win, the tone defeat, as long as you don't want bass and treble lift, yeah? In which case, you've got to have tone on, and then your bass and treble controls work. Okay. I'm going to do the sound now, and I'll do it very quickly. And then I'll go into detail if anyone else knows how I do this, going through a bunch of songs and comparing the two, yeah? But in short, this Sansui 8 Deluxe, it's a humdinger. It goes down low. Both of these go down really low, to be honest. This sound is really rich, yeah? It's a rich sound. It's a rich, luxurious, lot of good info in the lower bass that, you know, a weaker, that's the thing with weaker amps, yeah? They won't do that real low bass control. That's just kind of sign of a quality amp, you know, that they're gonna, but you know, you need a good pair of speakers. If you've got a little pair of speakers, the low bass that you're gonna get out of this, it's kind of wasted. And it might even just choke them and blur up your mid-range, you know? So it is a case where you get into serious amounts of power. You want a biggish pair of speakers that can handle, you know, that's got a few drivers, basically, you know, because else all that low bass will choke the mid-range, and the mid-range won't sound good, and you won't be able to hear all that good low bass information because your speakers can't resolve that, yeah. They need to have a decent sized cone to resolve it, and probably be in a decent sized box, particularly if it's an old speaker. Okay, so the sound here, it's rich, it's lovely and short. This sound here, it's again big, beefy. I wouldn't maybe call it rich, it's a little bit more detailed, yeah? It's a little bit more scientific, yeah? Okay, so what I'll do now, I'll go through these songs as I usually do. So, first song is Now That I Find You by Alison Krauss. Lovely voice, you know, lovely production. I got it on this one. So first I listen on the 8 Deluxe, yeah? I keep checking if the loudness button is on, yeah? So I'm playing this song and I literally had to look twice because it felt like the loudness button was on, if you know what that means, you know? So that gives you a clue, because there was just a lot more information coming out there. And I'm not saying the loudness button's on like a bad thing, yeah? Just, it did make me look though. It's got authority. It's like a Rolls Royce. It's big, it's powerful. The second the song starts, it's like everything is there in the room. The bass, the mid, the little treble, the little cymbals, creates a big, firm, big sound, you know? But okay, I've got here, backing guitars seem more present. So, you know, I listen to that song all the time, and some of the backing guitars kind of seemed a bit bigger or a bit more forward or da-da-da-da-da. But very good, yeah? Really nice to listen to. This one now, AU 719. Not quite so sweet, yeah? Her voice is not quite so beguiling. and I'm going to use this word next very carefully and don't go carried away with it, but a teeny bit shrill, and I mean teeny. Sansuis are basically smooth sounding amps, you know, and there's a commonality between the sound of these two amps, even though they're 10 years apart, definitely is. But I mean, just probably mean compared to this one, just a teeny bit of edginess in the vocal. Some might say it just sounds super clear or super sharp, you know. Also, I've got here not quite so musical, yeah, just not getting me involved so good. The bass, I don't know how to explain it. I'll read from my notes. It's probably the easiest way for me to give the clear information, so not quite so musical. Okay, second song, Take It Easy, excuse me, Take It Easy by the Eagles. On this 8, great pumping bass, loads of good bass. Suddenly I'm hearing some stuff in that bass area that I'm not used to hearing with other amps, yeah. It's just giving me all the low bass information, and it's giving it really nicely in a detailed way, and you know, I'm really sort of enjoying the changes that the bass player is doing, you know, so that's really nice. Yeah, I said here, hearing a few things in the bass not used to. Okay, on this one, again, just a teeny bit unhappy, and I mean a teeny bit unhappy with the vocals. There's a lot of big harmonies in that song, you know, mass harmonies, like 5 people singing at once, you know. And I've also got about this one, it's not quite such a wide soundstage, yeah. It's not giving me quite the space, quite. You know, these are small details, but you know, that's what I'm gonna tell you about. And I hear the good tight bass on that song, yeah. I mean, probably tighter and better in a way than this. I'm kind of hearing the bass drum hit more on this one. So, you know, these are both good at bass. Sansui's amps are famously good for the bass region. Okay, next song I did was, I did a few more songs on this on this review than usual. Next one I did was Witchy Woman, which is the Eagles also, which starts off with a huge load of bass and heavy tom-toms and big bass, sort of large sound at the beginning. So I've got the 8 here, rich, very smooth, spacious, a more involving song than normal. So it's just it's giving me all this sort of bass activity that's kind of, it's just giving me a sort of more information there, and it's just more involving. You're just hearing a little bit more of everything in the low level, which is, you know, you can tune into. And this one here, again, very, very, very slightly shrill vocals. I mean slightly shrill. I mean, if you have the right speakers and the right front end, or maybe you can tweak it with cables, you will probably iron that out, you know. But there is a definite difference. This one has a sort of, just a little bit something that I don't like in the upper mid band, the upper vocal band, you know, the tweeter band really. Just a little bit scientific, and at some points that actually is good because it gives you a big space in some other songs, which we'll get to here. But yeah, okay, so still on Witchy Woman, good pokey bass drum and more guitar stuff. So I'm hearing a few more guitar things coming from this. Now, you know, worth noting, this is younger, it's kind of more, I don't know, you know, it's this is probably giving you better information retrieval, you know, and probably if you measured it, this would have a lower distortion figure than this. I mean, it does on the statistics, I know, and you can tell that, but I mean, this is in no way distorting, yeah. I mean, valve amps sometimes have 1% distortion, yeah, not 0.1 but 1. So, you know, distortion figures can be misleading as to whether something sounds good, you know. This is the way this whole world of statistics is sends you in the wrong way, sends you down a blind alley. You know, it's not the, you know, it's not the way to look at it. But yeah, but this basically, if you wanted to get super technical, maybe you're listening to orchestras, this might be better, you know, because it's probably resolving the finest detail better. Okay, next song is Too High, Stevie Wonder. Now this is where things get kind of interesting, right? Between these two amps. So this amp, this rich, gorgeous, luxurious amp, playing this song Too High, which is a kind of very spacious song, is beautifully recorded. I don't know, it's kind of a pure song. There's not a lot of false stuff going on in the production. Yeah, it's like, you know, the bass, the singer is a big deal, the ride cymbal even is a big deal on that song. So on this amp, this Sansui 8 Deluxe, I put here that song shows some shortcomings of this amp, kind of makes this amp sound a little bit stylized and inauthentic, you know. Also that song is sort of full of space, absolutely sort of full of space. I've heard better, yes, I've heard that song better than on this amp. I'm just going to tell you you know, exactly what I've written, because I can't really explain it in any better way. But then we get to this one, and good, very detailed. Yeah, I'm getting the details and the placements good. The ride cymbal, there's a ride cymbal going off a lot on the side, on the right hand side. Just sounds great on here. And I just put, this is probably better than this one on that song. It just was, yeah. So, you know, this is the truth of the matter. Okay, I added a song for those that have watched me before. I've added a Stevie Wonder song called Black Man, yeah? This is a super funky song, particularly at the beginning. When you listen to this song, you just immediately realise that Stevie Wonder is a complete genius of beats and overlapping rhythms. So if you listen to this song, Black Man, at the start there is all sorts of really low level, low bass sounds. They could be tom-toms, they could be bass guitars. I can't even particularly tell you what these instruments are, you know. But there's a lot of really funky, low level stuff going on. It kind of really puts your spine out of place, you know. And this amp, the 8 Deluxe, it did that better. It had a better control of these dynamic sounds in the very low bass area. You know, so yeah, that's kind of it. So it had, let me see, what did I say here? Yeah, the start of that song on this amp, it literally surprised me. There are things there that I literally go, wow, I never heard that. There's some very odd sounds in there. There's so much going on. There's low bass percussive sounds, really great low bass information from that on this song. And then this one, I put, it's comparatively analytical, and it's not so involving. Yeah, so kind of this is, I mean, the only sort of exception is this song Too High, which is a very spacious song. Maybe that allows this amp, it's easier to cope with. It could be that, yeah. So that's probably those are those songs. I mean, to sum it up, I will try to sum it up. Both of these amps are mine. I've kept them. I like them. I play this more than I play this. This is just a big, rich humdinger of a sound. I wouldn't mind if I, you know, had to have only this amp for a long time. I'd be quite happy with that. This, you know, it's a well-respected amp, by the way, compared to tons of amps. And it's a big, powerful beast of an amp. And the only drawback it has, you know, that is noticeable, or the most obvious, is just a teeny bit of upper vocals where it gets a teeny bit shrill, and I do mean a teeny bit. And if you've got like a silk dome tweeters on your speakers, you'll probably never know what I'm talking about. Yeah, and both among huge power. Yeah, really tons of power. Yeah, okay, I think that's it. Okay, so yeah, so listen, if you put stuff in the comments, tell me what amps you've got, what sounds good. We can use it as a forum for exchanging information. I look at all the comments and I answer most of them if I can. So okay, that's it. Bye for now.